Good evening, everybody. Running just a couple minutes late here. Hamilton County Television, the Monday Night Coaches Show. I'm Brad Silbert. Across the table is Jack Russell. In the middle here, we've got Mike Kelly from Fishers High School, who's joining us to be our first guest here on the weekly sports and coaches show. Our show is brought to you by Greek's Pizza. That's Greek's Pizza in Noblesville on South 10th Street. Give them a call, 773-4444 for some of the best pizza you will ever have. In fact, we've all been eating it here before, and I think we're ready to get down to some questions. We're joined today by Mike Kelly from Fishers High School. Mike, let's just talk a little bit about your game against Brownsburg on Friday.
Well, defensively, and it's kind of been the nature of our season thus far, is defense is really leading us in terms of where we are offensively, or is where we are in terms of our game and keeping games close. Special teams and defense have kind of led our team up to this point, and we're trying to figure things out offensively still. We're still developing that offensive cohesiveness that we need, but our defense is really playing well.
Yeah, one of the things that I was taking a look at, you have Smith as a senior quarterback, and you're starting to develop that cohesiveness. Mm-hmm. How important is it to have a senior quarterback as you're starting to develop that throughout the season?
Well, the nice thing is that he's also been voted our team captain, so I think he takes that role with a lot of respect. I think, and the kids also respect him as well and trust him. But with that, I think he's willing to fulfill any role that he's been asked of him. He's working, he's improving each week. We're still not where we need to be, but he's improving, that's for sure. In terms of his understanding of reading defense and making good decisions with the football.
14-10 is kind of I don't know if you can describe it other. It's a pretty low score for a football game, especially a Hamilton County game, and especially the Hoosier Crossroad Conference game with all the points that have been scored this week. Mm-hmm. It sounds, it's apparent that both defenses really stepped up.
Yeah, Brownsburg has a very big defensive front, and I think they're very physical. And I told our guys starting the week that I thought they were probably one of the most physical defensive lines we'll see all season. I also felt like their linebackers move well. They're very physical up front in all positions. They tackle well, which created some issues for us. And we also have some injuries that added to a little bit of our issues offensively. But defensively, I think we were able to do what we were able to do to their quarterback, who's number 1 rated quarterback in the nation, and to hold him under 14 or at 14 points is pretty impressive.
Have you guys had a full, healthy squad at all this year?
No, sir. Unfortunately, we have not, and we continue to add to those injuries. It seems like each week we add to it. We have kind of a running joke. We have the sideline where the injured people go. We call it Injured Island. Over to the side, we have so many guys that are injured right now. It's pretty challenging, that's for sure. We wonder what we could be if we had a full squad. And we don't want to make excuses. I think, a lot of times coaches will make excuses saying, well, if we had this, that, or the other, we just need to get better offensively.
Taking a look at the game, of course, we talked a little bit before this, 87 yards rushing and 64 yards passing. Those are lower numbers than you guys are used to. But, again, you're playing one of the best quarterbacks, and yet we look at the score. So how do you guys, when you came into this game, how did you prepare? Because really, holding Brownsburg to 14 points and giving you a shot, I mean, that's quite a pretty good game.
Well, we felt like pressure was very important, and our defensive line did an amazing job getting pressure on the quarterback, and that's something the officials even mentioned at halftime to our athletic directors how well our defensive front was playing. It's just Hunter Johnson didn't have an opportunity to sit back and look for his targets. He was running for his life most of the time. And I would have to say that their offensive line was pretty physical as well. So they were definitely on their game Friday night, and I think they were playing some inspired football as well.
Stars of the game, who would you pick out as your stars of the game, both offensively and defensively?
I think Angelo House had one heck of a game. I think he had a couple sacks. Jake Winkle also played well. Nettleton played very well for us. Eli Kipp had a few TFLs, and I think our front line and our linebacker core did a pretty remarkable job. And they always know where R.J. Potts is, and he kind of does his job, I think, in just terms of being on the field. His presence sometimes can help our defense out significantly.
Talk a little bit more about R.J. He is probably one of the most complete football players I've seen. I'm not going to say in a long time, but he's the real deal.
Yeah, he's put together offensively and defensively. I mean, the opportunity he provides our offense is to give us a deep threat, and he can bust the game wide open. Even special teams, his ability to make big plays in the special teams game, and defensively, just his ability to be physical. I think a lot of people look at him and he's tall and leaner, but he is very, very physical as well. He can plays very fast. It doesn't look like he's giving a tremendous amount of effort, but he is giving full effort most of the time.
You take a look at the last 2 weeks. They've been very close games. Last 2 weeks ago was by 3 points. This last week by 4 points. You guys headed to Avon. How are you guys preparing for the Avon game right now?
We were talking with the other coaches early, and just the importance of the little things. I think sometimes when you look back at film, you can narrow down where your shortcomings are is those little things, technique, and making sure that guys are in the right position and they're taking the right step and right footwork and being in the right spots defensively, and that cohesiveness that we talked about with our offensive line. That has to be a unit that works together, and they have to be able to trust each other, and our tight ends position works in that as well, and then that relationship with our quarterback and receivers, and understanding and trusting one another. And we've really been talking about that a lot this week as well, as trust and coming together as a family and working hard and progressing to where we need to be as a football team.
3 keys for this game coming up. What would your big top 3 be? What do you have to do to win this game?
Well, we got to be able to run the football first and foremost offensively. Defensively, we need to continue to do what we've been doing, which is tackle well and shut them down on third down. I think that's one thing that we've really stepped up this year in comparison to years prior is our third down efficiency. Our third down stat is pretty remarkable, I think, this year in terms of where we've been. And then on special teams, we got to make sure that we are sound, and that's one thing that we've done well, and that's kind of helped us to be where we are in terms of keeping us in games. Is our special teams has been very, very efficient and effective.
I have been extremely impressed with the kicking game, both from a punting standpoint, kickoff standpoint, field goal standpoint. I haven't looked up the stats, but you guys have either got to be at the top or also near the top, almost statewide with what, especially with what Silbert's doing.
Yes, sir. And that the ability to flip the field like he can has been just outstanding for us. It's given us a lot of confidence in that. Defense, as long as our games have been about field position at this particular time, and honestly, offensively, if we can get things moving, I think we'll be in a whole lot better shape. But field position is huge for us, and we've been able to flip the field several games with Soper's kicks, and also capitalize on some deep field goals with our kicker.
The field goals have been just phenomenal. I saw one a couple weeks ago that was 52 yards, and it looked like it probably could have gone at least another 5 yards.
Yeah, he's only improving. So that's, as a junior, that's a huge relief that we have that in your back pocket. And, offensively, that helps us out as well.
Coach Mike Kelly from the Fishers Tigers. Mike, thank you for joining us this week, and good luck against the Orioles.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll be back after this.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim. at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
We all have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care, simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
There you go.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Television weekly sports show, the Coaches Show. Joining us now is Noblesville head coach Jason Simmons. Jason, a lot of points on the board this last weekend against the Eagles, who have been a very, very high-flying offense. How did you manage to get 45 and hold them to 24?
Well, I thought we asserted ourselves in the run game. Our priority going into it was to try and get our tailback run game going. Ryan Barnes, our quarterback, had 90 carries through the first 4 games of the year, and that's a lot to ask on that young man. So Caleb Small, our offensive coordinator, did a really nice job of packaging our tailback runs. That got us into a rhythm early, and we had 6 takeaways defensively that really aided our cause. And so our kids played with great effort, great energy, but we certainly have some things to clean up coming off of that win.
When you take a look at Zionsville, one of the things you think about is a high-scoring offense from their side. So how is it, when you guys were getting ready to play Zionsville, how did you prepare from the defensive side to play Zionsville?
The main thing for us was getting lined up, and I know that sounds pretty elementary, right. But for us, they like to push their tempo a little bit. We had to recognize the formation, but we also had to recognize where their people were that they're trying to get the football to in that formation. We blended packages a little bit defensively, which in some ways I think helped us, especially on the back end from a coverage standpoint, just trying to give their quarterback a lot of different looks. And I thought we did a nice job on the line of scrimmage of winning the takeoff, and that was important for us to keep their run game bottled up. They have a really good tailback who looks like he's starting to hit his stride a little bit now as they get deeper into the season. And for us to be able to make things bounce and force things on the perimeter, I think worked in our favor.
Yeah. You talked about a couple of players a little bit earlier, but let's talk about a couple stars of the game, both offensively and defensively, who really stood out for you.
We really challenged our 2 tailbacks, Chandler Hurst and Tyler Gonzalez, and they didn't put up a bunch of yards. It wasn't like they both went for over 100, but together they went for 100 on some tough runs, some tough physical runs. Both of them did a really nice job running behind their pads and finishing plays, and they really answered the bell for us. We were able to get the ball to Alex Foster some in space, and I really think Ryan Barnes did a nice job of connecting with McGuire Plummer, Blake Taylor, and Jackson Thurman in the passing game, just for us to have balance and to be able to move the football down the field. Defensively for us, we're getting a lot of good production from a sophomore in Wyatt Blades. We've asked Wyatt to play a bunch of different positions for us this year. He's played 3 different positions defensively, which is a lot, for a 15-year-old, and he's handled it really well. And I think our free safety, Harris Camp, had his best football game of the year.
You're 5 games into the season now, Coach, and obviously, this is your first season as the head coach of the Millers. How would you assess the first half of the season, and are you where you thought you would be or where you wanted to be as far as how the team is progressing?
Well, I think as a head coach, I don't know that you're always where you want to be, but I feel like our team is getting better every week, and that's the priority for us. Even today when we met with them, for Monday, we have a team meeting to kind of set the tone for the week, just like everybody does. And for us, it truly is about us getting better this week. We identified some key areas in all 3 phases of the game that we need to get better at, and that will be our focus this week. And yes, we have to play Hamilton Heights on Friday, and yes, Coach Street has a good football team, but we want to challenge our kids, stress our kids, and force our kids to become better football players every week. And we have to trust that will help us on Friday night when we get there.
Talks about Hamilton Heights, so it's homecoming week. As a coach, preparing for homecoming and keeping your athletes ready to play, because again, we talked about this last time I was here. Keeping them fired up, keeping them ready to play. But a homecoming weekend, you're talking a parade. You're talking those type of not distractions, but those type of things that are going on. before the game. How do you keep your players focused going into play?
We talked to our kids today about embracing the experience that is homecoming, but still making sure that we prioritize where it fits in our world right now. And for us, I want our kids to enjoy it, because if you go to different places, and I've been fortunate enough to work at different schools, not everybody's going to have the experience that our kids get to have at Noblesville.
Right.
You know, I worked at Ben Davis High School, and they didn't put as much time into homecoming as our people do here. It is a great experience, and embrace it. Just know that our week, you know, still funnels into 7:30 on Friday night.
Right.
In addition to it being homecoming week, it's a non-conference week for you. Playing Hamilton Heights, obviously a neighbor, a good competitor, even though they are, a smaller school. How do you prepare the kids for this? Because it's going to be a little bit different just from the size of the school.
Different in terms of size of school, different in terms of classification. It's a 3A school versus 6A school, which plays into the size. But it goes back to our focus being on us, and that includes us as a coaching staff. It includes me as a head coach. It includes all of our assistants, filtering down to the players. You know, and the challenge that I gave to our coaching staff was, are you going to bring the same intensity this week that you brought last week after a tough loss? And if you are, our football team's going to get better. Our players are going to get better naturally, because we're going to coach them harder, and we're going to take care of the little things. And so, you know, that's how we're going to keep their attention this week, and it's focusing on us and becoming a better football team and worrying about the opponent on Friday.
Well, you guys have obviously shown that you can beat some good quality teams. Zionsville is a good program. Fisher's a good program in that. In looking at Hamilton Heights, give me a couple offensive keys and a couple defensive keys for this game Friday night.
I think we have to dominate the line of scrimmage if we're going to have success. When you look at Hamilton Heights right now, they have some players on the perimeter that could play for anybody on our schedule. And so they will create some matchup issues for us on the outside. We have to win the interior, win the line of scrimmage, and try and neutralize some of those perimeter people by doing so. And that's really on both sides of the ball. In the kicking game, we have to keep the ball away from their two big playmakers. And for us, it's going to be taking care of those little things, making sure fundamentally that we're sound and that we have great focus going into Friday.
Taking a look at your guys' averages, receiving 140, rushing 190, that's pretty balanced compared to some of the schools. I know we talked about Barnes a lot at the quarterback position, and of course you have both Hurst and Gonzalez from the rushing position. Who on the receiving core have you seen make a bigger improvement? Obviously with 100 attempts at 676 yards for Barnes, he's still passing the ball and still keeping the offense balanced. Who are you seeing on the receiving side?
Our number one receiver is Jackson Thurman, and Jackson can do just about anything we ask him to do in the passing game. He's been a great weapon for us outside. We're starting to move him around in formations a little bit because teams are starting to defend him a little bit differently. Ben Groover is a kid that plays on both sides of the ball, and he's kind of a throwback kid. I love coaching him because it's like, hey, Ben, just go in and do this, and he's like, all right. He's an old school throwback kid. And we have Blake Taylor, who is another senior that's really steady for us, and the guy that we threw into the passing game last week because he can do just about anything we ask him to do is McGuire Plummer. He got a touch in all three phases, and he wasn't bashful about reminding us about that on Saturday. But he got an interception with a long return defensively. He had a punt return for a first down, and he had 4 catches. And so he's pretty versatile. He can do a lot of different things. And so we're starting to spread the football around, and that certainly helped us keep balance.
Noblesville head coach Jason Simmons. Jason, good luck in your game this week.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be back.
It is our game of the week.
It is a correction. That's correct. It is our game of the week. So we will be on the air shortly before 7 o'clock on Friday night on Hometown Television, Hamilton County Television. So hope you can join us then. We'll be back with more coaches after this.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
We all have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care, simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Television Coaches Show. Sitting immediately to my left is Assistant Coach Matt Alfeld. Down on the far end of the table is Jack Russell. Jack sitting in for Craig Atkins tonight. Well, Coach Alfeld, what can we say about Friday that probably hasn't been already said?
Well, it was a wild one. Incredibly good Westfield team. I'm telling you, they're for real, and they can run the football, and they can play defense, and they've got a quarterback that can get the ball out, and they do such a good job with their run pass option plays that they're very difficult to defend. And it was a wild and crazy affair. And 2 weeks in a row we've had kind of a wild finish, and we were just fortunate to get out of there with a win.
One of the things that we were talking about during the game was when big plays were needed, someone like Sweeney showed up. If it was 3rd and long or 3rd and short, you guys handed the ball off to Sweeney. He just kept moving.
Yeah, I mean that's we were a little stagnant offensively. Had a couple of turnovers, but we were able defensively, I think, to keep ourselves in the game. Particularly in the 3rd quarter, they got the ball. They were ahead. I believe it was 10-7 at halftime, and then they came out and had the ball at the beginning of the 3rd quarter, and we were able to force 3 and out. And actually, all 3 possessions in the 3rd quarter, we forced 3 and outs. So they were only able to run 9 plays in that quarter, and gave our offense a chance to get the lead back. Surrendered that lead early in the 4th quarter with about 8 minutes remaining. They went back up, and then they were able to kick a field goal to go up 6, and then the 2-minute drill at the end happened. So, I think our defense kept us in it, and our offense, was slowly but surely getting going. And when we had to make a play there at the end, when it was do or die, and we needed a touchdown. Offense executed the 2-minute drill, went down and got it, and then we were able to hold on. So it was exciting.
Yeah. We had made a couple observations between Jack and I during the broadcast, and one of the 2 specific things that we talked about were we felt like the team that made the least amount of mistakes probably was going to win the game. And so from that standpoint, I think the Royals were probably pretty lucky to walk out of there with a W. The other thing that we noticed partially during the game was it just seemed like Mullet's passes just weren't quite as sharp as what they normally were. It looked like, I don't know if it was a defensive thing on the part of Westfield or if it was just kind of a quarterback whiteout situation, but there were a lot of the passes that were either just a little bit too long or just a little bit too short.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure that, they have a ton to do with that. Their defense is incredible. They were giving up under 8 points a game going into the contest, so their defense is legitimate. And so, Adam struggled with getting the ball put where it needed to be. It had a lot to do with Westfield. They do a good job defensively. They put pressure on you. They're sound and they're physical. So, we kind of found our way there as the game progressed, and in the second half, put more points on the board than the first. But when Adam needed to make plays, he was able to step up and make them. And that 2-minute drill was, I wasn't surprised. Every Thursday we do 2-minute drill, and my defense is out there trying to stop them, and we're about 500 with them, but they seem to move it down the field pretty quickly against us, and that's frustrating. Just in a practice situation. So I knew they were capable of it, and Adam did a great job leading that 2-minute drill down for that final score.
Well, if anybody could put a video together as far as how to execute the last couple minutes of a game. What happened Friday night was just a fantastic example for the Royals, because defensively they did what they needed to do. Offensively, they scored that touchdown in less than 2 minutes, left the Shamrocks with 30 seconds on the clock, and came very, very close to letting them have a field goal attempt. How did, I mean, I know you practice stuff like this,
Right.
but it's not very often you see it in the game situations.
Yeah, I mean, and we grind away at it throughout the week and in the off season, and we do 2-minute drill a lot, and we use it for a defensive perspective. Trying to stop a team from going down when they don't have any timeouts, trying to keep them in bounds, trying to keep them from moving the sticks, trying to keep them from getting big plays on you, and then offensively, you're trying to get the clock killed, you're trying to get the ball out of bounds in certain situations. It's just something that you never know when you're going to need it, and we needed it on Friday night, and on both fronts we were able to step up and get the job done. I think defensively, when we threw that pick down to the 30-yard line and we had to get a stop, we were already down 3. If they score there, it's over. So we had 3 timeouts in our pocket, had to keep them from getting a first down, and we were able to do so. Got our 3 timeouts called, and held them to the field goal, and that kept us in the ball game with the opportunity, only down 6, to have an opportunity with 2.5 minutes to go down and try to get the win. And there were a couple other instances in the game early on where they had the ball inside of our 10 or in the red zone, and our defense held, forced them to try field goals or kick field goals, and we chart those as stops. In our goal board, I tell them field goal attempts, that's a stop. Punts are a stop. 3 and outs are a stop. Stopping them on 4th down, those are stops. So when we're able to shore that up in the red zone and make them kick, that we count that as a stop. So we were able to do that, and if you can make them kick field goals, you've got an opportunity to stay in the ball game, and we were able to do that.
So with that game, you guys had a 4-0 Westfield team. We call them almost like the two-headed monsters of Freilich and Sheridan. You guys held them to 163 yards rushing. What did you prepare for going in from a defensive side with the 2 of those? And then also, what adjustments did you guys make at halftime?
You just knew from the 2 kids that they were going to run the ball and they were going to try to establish the run. And we had charted them at 88% in the games leading up to ours. And I didn't really think that it would play out that way on Friday night, where they would be 9 out of every 10 running the ball, and it didn't pan out that way. It was more of a 60-40 split, but you knew those 2 kids were going to run hard, and you knew that they were just big physical maulers up front. I mean, their offensive line's incredible as well, so obviously they're going to try to establish the run, and they do a really good job at it. So we were trying to just get some movement, because I didn't feel like we could go toe-to-toe with them. We were a little undersized up front, and thought maybe that if they got a hold of us, it'd be a long night. So we were able to move around a little bit. I thought our defensive ends played a phenomenal job, Johnny May and Logan Holland, and we had 9 tackles for loss, and we're able to do a lot of that on first down. So we got them into 2nd and long and 3rd and long. They converted some 3rd and long plays that we'd like to have back, but defensively, I thought we did a pretty good job, especially with as good as they are at running the ball.
Yeah.
Coach, we've got about a minute left here, and I know we spent most of the time talking about the game Friday night, and rightfully so, because it was Jack and I did that game here on Hamilton County Television, and we both walked away from it and said, boy, that was quite a game. You've got the Eagles flying into Reynolds Royal Stadium Friday night. Tell us how we're preparing for that.
Again, no off week in the HCC, and Zionsville's an explosive team. Their team putting up a lot of points. They're a team that'll give you just about anything from an offensive standpoint. We've seen in 2 weeks, they go for it on 4th down a lot. So you gotta be ready to go for 4 rounds with them. They're going to go for it if there's any kind of opportunity to do so. They have a good running back that's given us fits for a couple years. Their quarterback's very talented, and they'll run the trick plays. I've seen hook and ladder. I've seen the flea flicker. I've seen the double pass. I've seen halfback pass. So we've seen it all. So we're going to have to do our jobs. We're going to have to be sound. We're going to have to make sure that we're not letting anything get over the top on us. We're going to have to make sure that our guys are in position and doing the things they need to do. And offensively, we need to take care of the ball, and that's something that we're continuing to struggle with. Defensively, I think we need to do a better job taking the ball away. We have 6 takeaways on the season. I'd like to be over 10 at this point in the year. So The big challenge coming up this Friday, but we've clawed our way back into the HCC race. We're a game back of Brownsburg, and this is one we got to have.
Coach Matt Alfeld, congratulations on a great victory Friday night, and good luck this coming Friday. And we'll be back with more on the Hamilton County Coaches Show after this message.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Coaches Show on Hometown Television. Joining us now from Hamilton Heights High School, Ross Eckert. Ross, little bit of a tough night against Northwestern on Friday night.
Yeah, Northwestern's a really good team, and what they do well is they run the ball well, and they run an old wing style offense where they play with just about every player they have in the tackle box, and they're really good at running sweeps and leads and getting a lot of people to the point of attack. And to prepare for that defensively, you have to be a little bit unsound, and we got stops early, and then came out at halftime, got stopped, and after a score, and then we're driving to go ahead and tie it back up, and then threw an interception, and just went back and forth from there. Every time we seemed to get a little bit of life, they seemed to take it away.
One of the things I was taking a look at from the stats standpoint, you look at Feltz, 240 yards passing, 915 on the season, 10 touchdowns on the season. Talk a little bit about his senior leadership and how that's taken effect with your team.
Josh does a lot of things well, and he's has the benefit of having some really good people around him.
Yeah.
Kids like Sterling Weatherford and Cayman Lutz. I mean, Cayman's our leading receiver right now because we have 2 guys that draw a lot of attention, and Sterling Weatherford and Jesse Brown. But what Josh does well is that he puts those kids in a position to succeed, and it makes those easy passes go a lot further when you have the talent like we do at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's one of the things I was going to talk to you about. I started putting up my stats here. You have senior Weatherford, Brown, White, Lutz, all seniors, all over 180 yards passing. From an offensive side, what type of resources? I mean, you can pretty much do anything with that receiving core of 4.
Yeah. The nice part is that we can put Sterling Weatherford out sometimes, and he's going to draw double coverage. And so when you're able to do that, then you just get to play games with the other guys because they don't have that extra defender to help. And even Sterling at times, even if he is double covered, you can throw it up to that kid and he'll go and bring it down.
Like his brothers.
Exactly. And the benefit that we also have there is that when he's also a defensive back, so if he can't bring it down, he'll at least knock it down. So having those resources, and then having Clayton Cowan in the backfield, he's came off of a 230-yard rushing week the week before, and so having him there kind of draws more attention into the running game, and we've been able to have a successful passing attack.
Oh, yeah.
Couple other stars of the games. Who else would you like to point out as far as for having an excellent game for you guys the other night?
Clayton Cowan does a lot for us offensively, but he led us in tackles, had 22 tackles, was around the ball all night long. We got some good productivity out of Troy Bergeson on defense, playing defensive line against that. Having to play double teams all night and stuff like that. As far as line of scrimmage guys offensively, Luke Herr, who's a sophomore, is playing a little bit above his predicted capability right now with him being so young. But he's able to provide us some good things. So with the mix of those guys, we have a pretty good set offensively and defensively. Our line of scrimmage has always been the thing that's been in question on both sides of the ball. But those guys are progressing nicely.
How about health-wise? Everybody healthy coming out of this game, going up against the Millers coming up Friday night?
As far as for the most part, we're healthy. I think everyone's a little bit dinged up after going against Northwestern's rushing attack and play after play. They ran several plays, and most of them runs, and you just have to kind of sacrifice your body to stop that stuff. Mm-hmm. But as far as health, we're in good shape. Zach Stevens is a little dinged up, but he'll be fine.
Again, we talked just a second ago about Noblesville. So you're playing at Noblesville. It's homecoming weekend for Noblesville. Noblesville's kind of got a younger team. From a defensive standpoint, I think they're a younger team versus a pretty highly senior team going into that. So how do you guys prepare for a team that's not only going into homecoming, but I know for a fact, both being a Heights guy and a Noblesville guy, that's a pretty big rivalry. No matter if it's a 3A versus 6A, you're ready to play.
Right. The benefit that we have this year is that we faced them a couple years in a row,
yeah.
So we have a little bit better idea of who they are, and although those games didn't come out the way we wanted them to, with the group that we have, we feel like we can be competitive, and they have some confidence going into the game, so that's going to help us a ton. And if we can let our athletes go and make the plays that they need to, then we always feel like we have a shot. One of those situations where you keep it close until the end of the game, and then who knows what happens.
What do you do specifically to prepare for a 6A Noblesville team compared to a typical conference game for you guys? Do you guys really do anything different, or do you try to just consider it just? I don't mean to demean anything, but you try to just take it as just another game, or is there anything special that you do?
Well, this week, especially defensively, we'll have to plan for there being a little bit more up-tempo. We'll have to run 2 huddles of scout team against our 1 huddle and stress us a little bit that way. What we understand is that we have to be in shape because they have the benefit of having the kids. And with the roster that they have, they don't have a lot of two-way players, and if they do, we have several two-way players. And I like to say that's not because we just don't have the depth. I like to say it's because the guys that we have, we can't afford to play them one way or the other. Sterling Weatherford's a guy that you need to have on both sides of the field, and that can go down the line with several others. So, I think that the biggest thing that we have to prepare for is making sure that we're in shape for the game, making sure that we're ready for their up-tempo defensively, and then just have a good plan. As far as weekend scouting and stuff like that, we don't do anything different. But during the practice, we'll just stress them a little bit more and do a little bit more situational stuff just to prepare for them a little bit better.
A lot of times we talk about the mental side of things, and I know we've talked about doubles and things. You look at penalties in the yardage, you guys only had 2 penalties in that game. So what do you guys do? Is it just the senior leadership, or is there something that you guys are doing from a mental standpoint to kind of keep these players focused?
I think we benefit a lot from our seniors. With it being a majority upperclassmen, you don't have to worry about the knucklehead stuff that you get with some of the younger players. But having that leadership out there, but we're really hard on those guys about character and about doing stuff the right way and stuff like that. But we go from times where we have 10 penalties, like we did against Tipton, to having 2. So obviously coming off that game, we were emphasizing it a lot more as coaches and as senior leaders to make sure that we didn't get hurt in the penalty battle.
Yeah.
Well, Friday night, Hamilton County Television will be at Noblesville. We'll be bringing you the game, and invite all the fans watching tonight to join us. But the other, the other aspect of this for the Huskies is this is just kind of a little bit out the back door, and not a real long road trip.
No, it's our first time we'll be on the road because we didn't go to Lucas Oil against Kokomo, so it's nice to have our first away game be 12 minutes down the road.
That's awesome.
Hamilton Heights coach Ross Eckert. Ross,
Thank you very much.
congratulations and good luck Friday night. And we'll be back with more of the Hamilton County Coaches Show after this message.
You know, when Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care, simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Coaches Show. What would it be if it wasn't Monday night and it wasn't Coaches Night and Tom Dilley doesn't join us? Well, we had Eagles and Rockets the other night, and the Eagles soared past the Rockets. Tom, tell us a little bit about that game.
Well, it was we got off to a pretty quick start. Got a turnover, punched it in. So got it rolling pretty good, and they Broad Ripple playing hard, but we got the opportunity to play a lot of our kids, and the thing we were probably most pleased with is those other kids that got to come in, executed pretty well, and got some good minutes and played well. So that's always nice to see. And our first group was able to get out of there a little bit earlier and get a little bit healthier and things like that. So, it was a positive night, but there's always stuff to work on.
We always like to talk about highlighting some of the key players of the game. Could you highlight some of the younger players that got an opportunity to play and who they were? And how
Sure.
they did?
No, I thought in particular we had two additional quarterbacks besides our starter play, and both led touchdown drives and were pretty efficient. Will Jenkins is a junior, and he's playing some special teams and working in a little bit on defense, but he's our number 2 quarterback, and when he's gotten in this year, has done a nice job and brings some energy and some athleticism and some toughness, and he played well. And then Rock Ricker is a sophomore kid that very much the same, just a real gamer and a good practice player, and has done a nice job getting himself ready for opportunities and took advantage of his opportunity as well. I thought in general our free safety, Dylan Crossan, was his first start. He's only a sophomore. He played well, pretty well. I mean, he missed a tackle or two, but other than that, played well. I'm trying to think who else. There's so many kids that kind of shuttled in and out, and the good thing is they all, I thought, looked like they played hard and had fun and executed pretty well.
You guys had some tough competition a couple weeks ahead of that, and then come up against a team like Broad Ripple, who is, I'm not demeaning him or anything, they're just not that good of a football program. How do you handle this and keep the kids in the game and keep them focused?
Well, I mean, we certainly always talk about trying to treat every opponent the same and trying to go through our process the same each week. And our number one goal each week is for us to get better and to improve as much as we possibly can in the span of a week. So regardless of who you're playing, that hopefully sets a high standard for concentration and study and preparation. But at the same time, human nature creeps in, there's no doubt. So, we were able to tweak a few things that needed to be adjusted in our schemes and maybe work on a few things that we hadn't worked on quite as much as we had wanted to in some other weeks, and maybe bring them up to speed a little bit. And so some of that new material maybe challenges some kids and re-energizes them a little bit too. But we really don't want to change our approach significantly from one opponent to the next. It's a true test of toughness to see if you can really approach everybody the same, and that's what we try to do.
So you guys play at Greenwood.
No, we're actually at Guerin Catholic.
Oh, at Guerin Catholic,
Yeah.
playing against Greenwood. What are some of the things that you guys are looking for with the Greenwood team to kind of prepare for?
They returned 7 defensive starters and have been real stingy this year. They got off to a really good start defensively. They gave up a couple big plays last week and made the score look a little bit different than it actually was against a good Plainfield team. So they've played well this year. We have some familiarity with some of the kids that are their better defensive players because we saw them up close and personal last year, and they're a good team. Offensively, they return a number of guys as well and have a good rushing attack and a returning quarterback who can do some things with his legs and his arms. So they big played us a couple times last year, and they're a really strong power run team as well. So we've got our work cut out for us. We just, again, need to play as hard and fast and well as we can and let the chips fall where they may after a good week of preparation. But we're excited about the opportunity.
As I was looking at these two teams today, getting prepared for tonight, just looking at some of the key statistics, it appears to be a fairly even matchup between your two teams. The points scored, the tackles are very close, total yardage very close, rushing yardage very close. You guys hold a little bit of an edge passing wise. So with that kind of stuff in mind, what will be the key for this game for you guys to be able to beat the Woodmen?
Well, statistically, it's always hard to gauge because you don't know the common opponents and things like that. The one common opponent we have had, we both had similar scores against, and that was against Martinsville. So,
yeah.
You can put a little stock into that. But, we're familiar with them over the last couple of years, and it's always a battle with those guys, a game that could go either way, and somebody gets a break and capitalize on it, and the score gets a little bit spread out. But, it's going to start up front for us and for them, and whoever controls the line of scrimmage and takes care of the football. And as we always say, the team that blocks and tackles, as cliche as it is going to win. And we just hope that we can put our kids in position for that to be them.
Taking a look here, average about 240 yards rushing a game, and you have a senior in the running back position, McGinnis, about 700 yards, 12 touchdowns in the season. What has his senior leadership been for your guys' team?
Oh, he's great. He and our center and defensive tackle Joe Boise, excuse me, and one of our defensive ends, Ed Pointer, all 3 tri-captains that were selected by the team and certainly seconded and approved by the coaching staff. Not only through performance but just work ethic, as well as being concerned for every member of the team. He's done a great job, and the other guys have too. He actually sat out last week with a little bit of was a little bit banged up after the Howe game. So anxious for him to get back in the lineup, and he was really chomping at the bit to get out there full board and practice today too. So, and our kids draw some energy from that. Certainly, they know how good a player he is and has been for us for the last few years. So his example, as well as the other captains and other seniors, is huge.
I think it's well known that offensively Guerin is a pretty well-oiled machine, but I'm looking at some of the defensive stats here. Logan Weaver, tackles per game 9.5. pretty doggone good with a national average of 3.
Yeah, Logan's been very productive over the last couple of years as a starter. He's a junior this year, and it's his second year as a starter. He just has a great nose for the football. He's not a huge linebacker, but he's a physical kid who can move well and plays well in space. He's a good tackler. He's an intense, focused leader on the field as well, and prepares well each week. So Logan, without a doubt, is one of the leaders of our defense and is very, very, very productive.
Well, that's Coach Tom Dilley of the Guerin Golden Eagles. Coach, good luck against the Woodmen tonight.
Appreciate it.
And we'll be back with more on the Hamilton County Coaches Show in 90 seconds.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care, simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Hometown Television Coaches Show. Joining us now, the legend himself, Bud Wright from the Sheridan Blackhawks. Bud, I was looking at the headline in the Reporter the other day, and it says Callahan runs for 327. Let's start out with that.
Well, yeah, he had a good night. Actually, our other running back got hurt, got his shoulder hurt, and I asked Callahan. I said, Joe, how many times can you carry the ball on the road? He says, I can carry as many as you want. And so I said, okay. So we wound up carrying it 45 times for 327, and had, like I said, had a real good night.
So that was kind of an unplanned thing for him to carry it quite that much, right?
It was unplanned. That's right. But halftime. Is when when I asked him to talk to him, and he said, give it to me. So we fed him the ball.
Last week we kind of spoke about Eastern a little bit and their quarterback situation, and you guys held them to 96 yards passing. What did you guys do on the defensive side to really limit their offense? 60 yards rushing, 96 yards passing.
Well, our defense has been pretty good about all year long, and I mean we just made some big mistakes at different times. And we basically played base defense, and we double covered. They got a 6'4", 6'5" receiver that's really good, and we double covered him a lot, kept him trying to catch the ball. And other than that, we played base, and we just did a good job with it.
One of the other things that I was taking a look at from the passing side, 7 attempts, 2 for 34 yards, but I guess when you run the ball for over 400 yards, you don't really need to pass it. But still, though, trying to make it a little bit more versatile in the passing game too.
Yeah, we worked pretty hard tonight. I didn't get off the field tonight till 11 minutes after 7, and I had to race over here. That's what we worked on, trying to improve our passing game, trying to get a little bit more there. We've been throwing the ball a little bit more. But I mean, when the running game was gone, we just kept with it and everything. So, yeah, he was only 2 out of 7, but he had about 3 passes dropped too. Yeah. So it wasn't as bad as it looked.
Yeah. Well, as I was looking down the stats on this game, Coach, it just looked to me like, well, first of all, the scoring was pretty much even by the Blackhawks throughout the entire game. 13 in the first, 7 in the second, 7 in the third, 13 in the fourth. It was, well spread out. And other than a number of penalties there, it looked like the Blackhawks played a really good game. 11 penalties for 75
penalties.
yards.
That's been a downfall all year long for us. Is like we said, we make mistakes at the key times, which has kept us from scoring before. And with this time, we was able to get the scores on, but we still had those 11 penalties. And procedure calls is a lot of this, things that we just need to concentrate a little bit more on. And that's what drives you batty as far as the coach is concerned, is that you got a real good football team, and we wasn't winning. We have 3 losses, and we're a better football team than that.
Did that game get going on time up there up north, or was that delayed by rain at all?
No, the rain hit and it poured down. Actually, we was getting on the bus. I mean, it was coming down in blankets, and we all had to put raincoats on to get out the bus and everything. But the time we got up there, it had stopped, and it stopped up there a little bit earlier, and we had no rain at all. I mean, it was a beautiful night and a little bit sticky as far as the weather's concerned there, but the field was in good shape, and we had no delays at all.
Good. We were talking a little bit earlier. When we were talking about Callahan, you were talking about the necessity for him to jump in. Any other injuries or anything else going on as far as the health of the Blackhawks?
We got a couple guys banged up some. We don't know exactly what status is going to be. A couple of them till a little bit later on in the week. I know that we have one kid that's got banged up, but he says he's going to play. He'll be okay. And we have another defensive back, Cole Cummings, actually leading our team in tackles, playing a safety spot for us. And he's got banged up a little bit, and he told me the doctors told him that he shouldn't play for a week or so. But he told me he's going to play, so I don't know what he has to get doctor's release before he can play.
Wow. Of course, one of the things that also happened this weekend was with Kevin Wright down in IMG Academy. Just tell us a little bit about, because you went and surprised him.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about how that went.
Okay, my daughter and myself, my second daughter Sherry, and myself, and one of my assistant coaches, Brian Milligan. We flew down. We left about 11:45 Saturday. Got down there about 2 o'clock, and got out to IMG about 3 o'clock. And Liz kept us hid. Liz is pretty bossy, at times. As far as keeping us hid. I kept telling her, said, I want to go to the stadium. And she said, no, you can't go to the stadium. And so anyway, she kept us hid, and then. Actually, she took us out and bought our lunch for dinner for us. Yeah, and then we got over to the stadium, and she put us in a separate area than what the team was and Kevin was, and then we walked out on the field, got behind a couple big fans and such, so Kevin didn't see us, and then pre-game then they had a little ceremony, and we walked out, and Kevin was quite surprised to see us. He really was surprised.
Yeah, I'm sure you remember your 200th win. How was it to see your son win his 200th win?
It's great as far as you look back and see how well he's doing, and I'm proud of all the kids and such there. But it's a good thing, and I'm glad that we were able to go down and see that. Like I say, it was a quick trip. We left in Sunday at about 11:30 to fly back, so. It was a quick trip down and back, but it was really worth it. It really was.
Sometimes those short trips like that are just as much fun, and especially for an occasion like that.
Right.
Coach, it's on to Tri Central next.
Tri Central Trojans, right.
Let's talk a little bit about Tri Central and what to expect Friday night from them.
Well, I don't really know what to expect. Really, they had been going along. They have the same records we have. They're 2-3. They got beat last week very solid, I think 56-0, but they were missing 6 or 7 of their starters. And so you can't really gauge last week's performance. And they're fresh off 4 years ago. They were state champs, and so they got a little bit of tradition built up. For years, Tri Central, really was a very good football school, and then they got George Gilbert came in and sort of turned things around, and they got things going. And like I say, they had about 4 years there, where 3 years where they were really good. And like I say, in that stretch, they won a state. So they got a little tradition, and they'll be a good fight for us. That's sort of a rivalry as far as two schools are concerned, and it's a conference game, so it'll be a dogfight probably.
Well, good. That's Coach Bud Wright. Coach, good luck this weekend against Tri Central. We will be back in just a few more minutes. We want to remind you that the Hamilton County Coaches Show is brought to you by Greek's Pizza on South 10th Street here in Noblesville. Give them a call, 773-4444. I'm sure, was there any pizza left when you got here?
Right, there's one in there, and I'm going to grab another piece.
Okay, very, very good. Well, we're going to take it right now over to Perry Williams. Perry had a chance to catch up with Westfield coach Jake Gilbert this afternoon, so let's take a look at what Perry and Jake had to say.
Welcome. This is Perry Williams, and I got today with me Westfield coach Jake Gilbert. Welcome, Coach.
Welcome. Thanks for coming.
No problem. Had a great game on Friday. It was unfortunately the score turned out the other way, but it looked like it was a very good football game as you lost to Hamilton Southeastern 21-20.
Yeah, excellent football game. I think the fans got their money's worth. Just not the outcome we wanted, but very good game overall.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about football, but I want to also talk about some of the pictures I saw on social media of the huge amount of young kids there, youth football players, and there at the game, and your players giving them high fives and going over and talk to them, and man, that goes a long way with those young kids.
Yeah, we've got a great and thriving youth program that's growing each year, and again, in a time when that's not necessarily the case everywhere. So we are very, very connected. I run that whole league, and so it's been good. So we've had huge turnout of numbers, and that was good to have the youth night and have all the kids on hand.
Absolutely, because that is a very integral part of you building a program, because this is not a season-to-season football. This is a program you're building here, and
absolutely,
and that's what you've done. This is your third year?
Sixth,
huh?
Yeah.
Has it been that year long?
It's been that long.
Holy cow! Because I remember the first year I was substitute teaching over here. The first year you came.
Yeah, it's been 6 years.
Holy cow!
We just chose to forget those first couple of years. Didn't go as well.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the game. When you look at stats and everything, it's pretty evenly matched.
Yeah.
So go through the game a little bit. It looks like each quarter had its own. The first quarter, I guess Southeastern won. The second quarter, you scored 7. They didn't score any.
Yeah.
And then they had 7, and you didn't have any. And then that fourth quarter was actually you scored 10 points and they scored 7. But
we gave up one play in the first half, and it turned out to be an 80-yard touchdown pass. So there wasn't much scoring, period. We missed a couple field goals. So, credit to them. We got inside the one once and came away with 3 points. I mean, some things like that. They did a good job. We shot ourselves in the foot plenty, and they did a very good job and, made enough plays. I mean, there was just that sense of if we would have made one more play, then we would have won the game for sure. And there were several opportunities for that. Now, on the flip side, Southeastern, like the last drive they put together, which was their last drive of the game, they were excellent, and they made plays. We gave up the same amount of big plays on that one drive as we had the whole rest of the game combined. So we didn't play great. We didn't play bad. We played hard. We played against another team that's a very, very good football team that also played hard, and they came out on top 1 point. So kudos to them. We got to go back to the drawing board and get better, but I'm still proud of our kids' effort.
Well, that's good, and that's the one thing that I always make comments about how great the Hoosier Crossroad Conference is, and this is another reason why it's so outstanding. Because each week, I mean, whether you're playing what we may say the worst team in our conference, or you're playing the best team in a conference, it's still going to be a game.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, it's
Excellent
a tough conference.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. There's no easy weeks. Well, let's talk about we mentioned the Southeastern Westfield game. Not much more you can do about that, but the kids' attitudes after the game, and obviously here at school today, and you've got another game coming up this week. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's move forward.
Yeah, we have to turn the page, and that's hard to do. We had a big clock controversy at the end of our game and all that, and so there's a lot of people all upset about all those things. But we're not getting it back. So, I didn't really even address it. We just got to move forward. There's no excuses. I mean, that was one play out of 150 in that game. So there wasn't a whole lot of talk about that. We just got to move on and play an undefeated Brownsburg team who's at the top of our conference. We're now down to second in our conference with this loss, so we need to do everything in our power this week to get prepared to beat them.
Absolutely, and we know they have a good passing game because
Sure.
they have probably one of the top quarterbacks in the state of Indiana. So,
Well, he's ranked as the top quarterback in the country by these rankings, but I mean their defense is outstanding. So everyone wants to talk about the quarterback play. I know, but Brownsburg is excellent defensively, and been very impressed with what they were doing on defense.
and many coaches say defense wins games anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to have a good offense, but that defense goes a long ways. And of course, you have a good defense too.
Yes, so it'll be a defensive game.
Yeah.
Probably a lot like this HSC Westfield game was.
Yeah. Now I forget. Are you traveling there?
We're at Brownsburg.
Okay. Which is not an easy place to play, anyways. When you have to go on the road, it's always a little bit different.
We've had some success over there. I love their stadium, great place to play. They'll have a lot of fans there. That's okay. That doesn't bother us too bad.
But you travel well too, though. I mean, your fans are behind you, and this program.
Hopefully they're still there. It's our
they
first
will
loss.
be,
You never know.
They will be, Coach. I mean, the program's really turned around over here in the last, now you say 6 years, and I've been watching this program, and I think you're heading in the right direction.
Hope
I
so.
don't think they'll be giving up on you after one loss.
I hope so.
Want to talk about a few about some of the players that this past week and had an outstanding game, and maybe some of the players some of the keys to beating Brownsburg.
Yeah, well, like I said, we weren't enamored with how we played. I thought Dorian Henson just stepped up and had a pretty good game as a sophomore corner for us, filling in for a starter. I was just happy to see that, and I think he deserves some credit. I felt like Lucas Schultz and Justin Fry overall played really well at safety, and that was pretty good. So that was not bad. Our center, Austin Dollins, he played really, really well against a tough Southeastern defense, and we were happy with his play. But in general, we're going to all have to play well, beat Brownsburg, and they are good at lots of things. They've got a stud wide receiver. Obviously, the quarterback's excellent. They have really two stud receivers. Defensively, they're awesome and big, and they run to the ball, and we're all going to have to play well. It's going to have to be a team victory. We feel like there's plenty of room for improvement in all three phases from this past Friday, so we need to go out and improve those things this week and play our best as a team.
Well, Coach, sounds great. Hope you have a good practice this week and everything goes your way. And of course, I'll be back here next week, and hopefully we'll be talking about the victory over Brownsburg.
Absolutely.
All right. See you, Coach.
Thank you.
A lot.
There you go. Welcome back to the Hometown Television Coaches Show, another edition in the can, as we would say. I'm Brad Silbert, along with Jack Russell. Jack, the Hoosier Crossroad Conference is just kind of real tight right there at the top. We got a 2-0, 3 2-1s in the next three places, and it's not going to get any easier this week because this coming Friday we have Fishers at Avon, Hamilton Heights at Noblesville, which will be the game of the week here on Hometown. Westfield goes to Brownsburg, and Zionsville is at Hamilton Southeastern. In other county action, Carmel will be at North Central, Greenwood at Guerin, and Tri-County at Sheridan. So it looks like things are just heating up, shall we say, especially after the game we had Friday night.
Oh my goodness. It's going to be fun because every Hoosier Crossroad Conference game is exactly, or at least pretty close to what we saw on Friday night, where every time that we have one of these games on TV, we talk about the person with the ball last wins, the person that makes the least amount of mistakes will win. Really, sometimes you never know what you're going to get in a Hoosier Crossroad Conference.
It's always an adventure, and it's always fun. We'd like to thank our sponsor of the Hamilton County Coaches Show, that being Greek's Pizza, here on South 10th Street in Noblesville. Stop at their restaurant, or you can give them a call at 773-4444. And as I said earlier, about 6:45 to 7 Friday evening, it will be Hamilton Heights at Noblesville. That will be Craig Adkins and our friend Perry Williams will be bringing you that. And the following week, we'll still be back at Noblesville again. I'll be back there with Craig for the Hamilton Southeastern Royals at the Noblesville Millers. And we'll be back next Monday for another edition of the Coaches Show. Until then, have a good evening. Good night.